So I've been seeing a lot of videos about educators and essays about educators freaking out about the incoming AI wave and students cheating both in high school and in college and they don't know what to do. And I was thinking about this yesterday and it dawned on me. We're freaking out and calling a solution a problem. So hear me out. Have you ever had an idea in your head that you can't quite get out in words or you can't communicate across quite well, but you know it's a good idea? I'm sure it's happened to all of us. I know it's happened to me for a fact plenty of times. That barrier is now broken thanks to AI. So if you interface with a LLM, you'll find that it's a really useful tool to help you get out your thoughts in a way that you didn't know was possible. It solves what I call the interface problem that a lot of humans have. So the example that I just drew right now is a very specific example of like it's happened to you. Well, very generic, but very specific because I'm asking, has it happened to you just like it's happened to me? But now I'm going to extrapolate that example and take it a little bit further. Let's say you have somebody that maybe has Asperger's or maybe is on the spectrum of autism or any other sort of neurodivergence that affects communication. I'm sure there are plenty. That's just the most obvious one that I could think of. I know a lot of people who might be on the spectrum or who might be uh, might have Asperger's, and they're extremely smart. Not everybody, but a lot of them are. However, they do have a really hard time interfacing, and language is an issue for that, right? So I'm already seeing how AI could solve that problem and could really allow people who have a really vivid inner world, but who cannot get their words out, to really get their words out and get those ideas across, right? So yeah, generative AI and generative language is leading to a lot of cheating on essays and a lot of these other issues, but we're not seeing, we're looking at the glass half empty. We're not looking at the glass half full and looking at all the possibilities that it has. And when it comes to that part, the essays, the cheating, etc., I think it's just going to be a matter of time and the smart educators are going to adapt. And here I'm going to draw another analogy. I'm 28, right? And I remember my grandpa, I'm originally from Spain, my grandpa talking about all of the kings that Spain had and really spilling out the history that fact by fact because he had to memorize it when he was young and in school, right? Now, I was raised in a different era. So for me, they didn't ask us to memorize everything. They asked us to maybe look into the context of, I was raised in the US, of a specific precedent and write an essay of why this president viewed this thing this way. And at that point, you're not asking for somebody to have hard storage of facts. You're asking for somebody to synthesize information in a way that's innovative, in a way that's conductive towards the betterment of society, and that leads to a rich inner world, right? And extrapolation of ideas and communication. And I think that that's where things are going, right? So with the internet, we stopped having this issue where, the so with the internet, we stopped having this sort of barrier, this sort of bottleneck for many people about retrieval of information. Maybe you're very smart, but you don't have the best memory, right? And there's people that might not have the best memory, but they're really competent in today's world. And they're able to show off that competence, right? And maybe before the internet, they would not have had that ability. But the internet has enabled their competencies, right? So it hasn't enabled cheating in other people. It's just made everybody better and enabled people who before were disabled in that regard, right? So I think that it's going to be the same thing, but not just for retrieval of information, but also for interfacing and language. I think that if you've had issues with communication, but maybe you've liked information and you've liked education and you've received a good education and you have a vivid inner world, but you've always maybe struggled to put it in words that really capture it for other people, now you can do that. If you're neurodivergent and you couldn't communicate quite well, maybe now we could work on tools that would the very limited language that you might have, you're able to get your ideas across better and maybe get a different level of education that wasn't possible before, right? So it's very important, I think, in the future for educators to adapt to this. So instead of freaking out like we're doing when we look at, I'm going on psychology today and a lot of these pages and they're talking about cheating and I don't know what to do. Instead of freaking out about this, I think we should be looking at ways to leverage this solution to a problem that, it's such a big problem that I don't think we realize that we could solve it, and we've solved it inadvertently, and we're thinking of it as a problem, right? So try to switch gears and try to leverage it as a solution and really use it to innovate, right? So maybe you can't ask every student to write an essay, right, when they go home, because you know they're going to use generative AI, but you could give them an essay or a set of concepts to build off from that. I mean, if you're half smart, you know when something's AI generated or when it's not human synthesized, right? So if you're a good professor, you could use your criteria and work off of that. And through time, I'm sure the curriculum will adapt in a way that's conductive for betterment, right? So I there's a college professor that I talked to that he's like, I don't even do essays anymore. Our classes are discussion and kind of workshops. Amazing, amazing, because when you don't leave room for cheating, people can't cheat, right? And I think that that's the future. And that doesn't mean that we're not measuring people's intelligence or academic integrity. We're still doing it. We're just adapting it. Academia used to be at the forefront, and it's kind of sad to see that now it's staying back. I mean, it's great because with AI, we've kind of flipped the script, whereas before it used to be the government creating technology, then going down to the universities, then going down to the people. And now a lot of stuff is like the people, then it goes to the universities, then it goes to the government, right? So the script is flipped. But that doesn't mean that universities and educators have to stay behind. In fact, I think they should really be embracing this. They should be looking at the possibilities that we have that we didn't have. So yeah, just just some quick thoughts, because I made a TikTok video about this yesterday, and 1 minute was very, very short, and I kind of wanted to go a little bit more in depth. Yeah, let me know if your thoughts on it. Let me know if you enjoyed it. If you want to see how you could use AI in a cognitive way, how you could use it to maybe explore new ways of thought, to maybe examine your thinking, I do have a consulting services on lpci.ai. I do have a free tools via Claude Artifacts on the gallery there. I do have Lucidi GPT with 10 plus custom GPT frameworks that help you explore cognition and AI's possibilities. And I have AI Ching if you want to maybe explore the more spiritual side of things from a linguistic sense, never from an esoteric one, always from a language and cognition focused lens. So if you like any of those things, I'll have the links down below. I'll be making more content on this stuff. This is the real me today, no AI. But I will be also doing some AI avatar videos in the future. So please do stay tuned if you like philosophy, AI, cognition, psychology, and you want to stay sharp with where the future is headed. So thank you so much. Thank you for watching, and have a great day.